In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Thank you. That's perfect. Thank you. I like this one better. There is an old story of a church in a city far away. The church had been built hundreds of years ago. In fact, nobody could remember who built it. It was so large that it was hard to see from the beginning of the church to the end. And the church was so marvelous, contained beautiful works of art, an amazing organ, and most importantly, a magnificent bell tower. Now, the tower was so tall that you couldn't really even see the steeple even on a very clear day. And it was said that in that tower was housed a remarkable set of bells. Now, again, because the tower was so tall and so old, bell ringers had given up trying to reach the top so that they could ring the chimes. Even if they could have, they were very special bells, and the bells only rang out on Christmas Day. People said that it must be the angels that set them ringing, because no one could have gotten up there. And besides, nobody had heard the bells ring in years and years and years. Some people even doubted that the special bells existed. Well, every Christmas, people left richer and richer gifts on the altar for the Christ child, hoping that there would be that one special gift that would set the bells ringing again. But each year came and went, and the bells did not ring. Now, there were two small boys who lived in a village not far from the city. And this year they had saved up and scrimped all year so that they could go to church on Christmas Eve and experience the great Christmas festival in the church. They said to each other, "Imagine how exciting it will be. Imagine the lights and the feasting and the music. Oh, it will be so wonderful. We cannot wait." So on Christmas Eve, both of them, the two brothers, there was big brother and there was little brother, and they set out on their way to the church. It was a cold night, and snow crunched under their feet. And about halfway there, they spotted something on the side of the road. It was an old woman who was too old and sick to make it to the city where she might have found shelter. Big brother tried to rouse her, but he couldn't do so very easily. So he told little brother, "You must go on. You must go on to the festival without me. She will freeze to death in the snow if I don't take care of her." And little brother said, "But you will miss the festival." And big brother said, "Well, there is no reason that both of us should miss it. You go ahead, and I will stay here and keep her warm until you can bring back help. Take this little silver piece. It's what we've saved all year. Take it and lay that on the altar for me." Little brother sadly did as he was bid. Well, the festival was glorious. Little brother marveled at all the sights and sounds and smells and the candles and the lights and the music. And when it came time for everyone to place their gift on the altar, the gifts got grander and grander in hopes that this year the Christ child would be pleased and the bells would finally ring. One lord hauled an entire chest of gold up to the altar. It took several men to carry it. It was so heavy. A grand lady took off her diamond necklace and laid it on the altar. Another lord brought a statue covered in jewels and precious stones. Finally, when the king of the castle, or the king of the castle, the king of the whole kingdom, came and took off his gold crown and laid it on the altar, people thought to themselves, "This is amazing. We have never seen anything like this before. Surely now the bells will ring." But all they heard was the moaning of the wind in the tower. Well, at the stroke of midnight, the service was almost over, and suddenly the organist stopped playing mid-song as if he had been shot. The priest held up his hand for silence, and everyone stood listening, and a sound came from up above. It was the sound of the bells. It was the sweetest sound anyone had ever heard. People fell on their knees, weeping and praying and praising God. So no one noticed the tiny figure of little brother kneeling at the altar, having placed their little piece of silver on it. God sees what humans overlook. Christ sees the sacrifice of 2 little boys. God sees a poor widow place 2 small coins in the temple treasury. In both stories, Christ's voice rings out in praise. Because God sees what humans overlook. I guess the question for us is, how do we begin to see with God's eyes? We start by seeing people as human beings. We don't try to fix them. We don't try to laugh away or cheerlead away all their problems. We let them be who they are. We accept them for who they are, while at the same time recognizing their self-worth and their dignity. I met a woman last week who I truly believe sees with God's eyes. She is the CDO at Healing Hands Ministries. Her name is Jennifer. I don't know if you have ever been to Healing Hands Ministries. It's right down on the corner of Royal and Greenville in that Gaston Christian Center building. You would never know that Healing Hands Ministries is there. And what they do is they provide free or low-cost health care for those living in poverty. So you can pay if you want to, but you don't have to. And they treat everyone equally. They have a full health and dental clinic, immunizations, x-rays, a lab, and they even have a little cafe where you can go and have a cup of coffee and a kind word, regardless of your ability to pay for that coffee. Jennifer told me that she was inspired to lead Healing Hands Ministries because someone dared to see her with the eyes of Jesus. And here's what happened. She had a child with severe intestinal problems. And her husband at the time could not deal with that, and he left her. So here she is a single mother. She has a sick child. She is scrimping and saving every penny. And she cannot afford the special formula her son needs at $40 a can. So after crying on the shoulder of a compassionate nurse in her pediatrician's office, she went home. And then she received a call back from the office, and they told her to please come in as soon as she could. She went back to the pediatrician's office to find that all the doctors and nurses in that office had collected or bought cans of the special formula for her, enough for several months for her son. So you see, nobody tried to fix her, just like Jesus didn't try to fix the widow with the 2 coins. He didn't tell her, oh, hey, go home. Your home is full of money. He didn't tell her, I've taken care of all your problems and I'll find you a husband. He observed her. He saw her. He saw her for who she was, a woman who was worshiping God with everything that she had. So in Jennifer's case, nobody called her poor or lazy or irresponsible. And most importantly, they did not ignore her. They listened and they looked with the eyes of Jesus. And now she does the same for thousands of people a year. She literally serves thousands of people with health care that's comprehensive, regardless of their ability to pay. You see, God sees what humans overlook, and he brings about a blessing in that stead. The story of the widow's mite is not about the widow's mite at all. You know that. It's certainly not about giving everything you have to the church or God won't love you and all your church friends will talk about you. It's about real, raw faith in hard times. It's about worshiping God with everything you have. It's about living your life for Jesus with everything you have. It is about seeing people through the eyes of Jesus. Amen.